Spring 1706. The Kingdom of Congo. Dirt roads stretched across the land. The morning rain had left them wet and muddy. The air was filled with the smell of damp earth, misty ash, and something else, something like fear. A crowd of thousands had gathered. Children sat on their parents' shoulders. Vendors moved through the crowd, selling whatever they could. Laughter mixed with anticipation. It almost felt like a festival, but they had come for a woman. A young woman who had once united thousands of people. Now she stood before them, bound and broken. Her name was Kimpa Vita. To most Europeans, she was a savage, a traitor. But to Congo, she was a warrior, a symbol of what freedom could look like. But what happened to her was never about justice. It was about control. It was about erasing not just a woman, but the people she represented. And to understand the horror that was about to unfold, you first need to understand what brought Kimpa Vita to this final moment. The Kingdom of Congo had been bleeding from civil war for years. Cities were being abandoned. Families were being torn apart. People were turning against one another. Then Kimpa Vita appeared. She claimed to be receiving messages from God. Normally, words like that would never travel beyond a few villages. But something made her different. People listened, and they believed, because what she spoke about was not just religion. She spoke about unity. She spoke about bringing Congo back together, and then something happened that no one expected. Within a short time, thousands of people had gathered around her. The abandoned capital, San Salvador, began to fill with people once again. But as hope grew, so did fear. Because the people following Kimpa Vita were no longer just believers, this had become a movement, and movements have always frightened those who hold power. Church leaders sounded the alarm, the nobles grew uneasy, and to rival factions, she had become a threat. They said it had to be stopped. Kimpa Vita was more effective than people who had been fighting wars for years. She was bringing people together around the same purpose, and this was dangerously underestimated. But there was an obstacle, and betrayal came, as always, silently. There was no war, no final confrontation, just capture, chains, and a waiting trial. In 1706, Kimpa Vita stood before the judges. She was accused of heresy, of disturbing the order. And further than that, she was accused of deceiving people. But the real accusation was hidden. People believing in her. The court had already made its decision. She was told she could live if she renounced her faith. All she had to do was step back. She never did. The verdict was announced. Burning, execution. This was not a punishment. It was only a message, a warning to all of Congo. At dawn, people began to gather. Muddy dirt roads, a misty morning air, vendors selling food. It felt like an ordinary festival. Children moved through the crowd. People had not come just to witness an execution. It felt as if they had come to witness an example. The wood was placed. The stake was raised. Kimpa Vita was bound. The crowd fell silent. The flames began to rise. Smoke climbed toward the sky. Some prayed. Some could not watch. Some simply stared. Because in that moment, everyone was thinking the same thing. How can a woman be this terrifying? The fire grew higher. Then, suddenly, silence. Only the sound of flames and a heavy smell melting into the fire. Then came the screams and people running in panic. A horrifying scene. It all felt like everything had ended. Time passed, but what they expected never happened. Because people did not forget her death. On the contrary, they began to speak of her even more, as if they were living her story themselves. They had burned her to silence her, but after her death, her voice reached even farther. They thought they had erased her, but in truth, they had created a martyr. They set a woman on fire, and what remained was a legend. Subscribe for more.